Honestly, the biggest thing comes to mind is honestly, don't be afraid to continue playing and go out, be with other people, and find other people to enjoy music with. I mean, honestly, just with the things that COVID has done, it's even more important to not only get good at what you're doing as a musician individually, but to use that as a way to communicate with other people. Some of the biggest friendships I've had in my life have been those who I've played music with. And the last thing that you want to do is say, well, I can't do that. There's a huge, huge, huge thing in getting out there with other musicians. And I think, honestly, that is the biggest thing that we could do. I'm not sure how much hope that provides, but I do know it's entirely worth it to use what we learn as drummers, as clarinet players, as tuba players, whatever it is, to communicate positivity to other people.
That was a problem for mine is if I ever did want to chat, I feel like if people were chatting me on my phone, I would have to like pause and come over here to my computer just to like see and just
Yeah,
respond. Like I don't want to be like, I'll just see what's happening here. But I don't know. I think at some point when I do get my own crib, I feel like I want to make sure the setup is right, so I'm able to like be interactive without having to move a whole lot.
yeah,
So future project, or at least we at least got a long way to go before getting in there.
yeah.
But earlier when we first started, you mentioned that first person that was part of that. What was it, babysitting? And you said he was your big influence. I guess. Did you have any other influences?
Um, in high school, there was a gentleman named Chuck Lambert, I believe, that was a church drummer at my church. I used to watch him play a lot. And the biggest thing that I saw with him is that he played really simply. He wasn't trying to hit all the drums all the time, and he would mostly just stay in the pocket, play something nice and simple with a little fill here and there, and it worked. And he also used rods a lot. He wasn't trying to play too loud. And then he also had a $5,000 Yamaha recording custom kit that influenced me as well. I got to play it one time, and I'm like, this is so amazing. I can't. It's so big. I'm afraid I'm going to wreck it. Um, Outside of actual live drumming influences, the guys that have influenced me the most have been Ted Kirkpatrick, who plays for Tourniquet. Um, Steve Hindalong, who plays for a Christian band called The Choir. Who else? Mike Portnoy. Mainly because of just his absolutely huge passion for everything that he does. Who else? Lately, a big influence for me, just as far as somebody to watch that's enjoyable, is Tetsuya from Crossfaith. I don't know his last name. Crossfaith is a big Japanese hardcore group. This guy is really wild on the drums. He also brings a lot of energy. Trying to remember anyone else. I listened to so many drummers growing up over the days. So it's hard to influence me more because I would always just be listening for what the kick and the snare are doing and never really knew who the guy was. Like, I honestly can't remember the Motley Crue drummer's name, but I remember the drumming. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Who's the other guy? A drummer for a Christian metal hair group named White Cross. I cannot remember his name. Michael Fagan or something like that was also a big influence. Particularly his drumming on a song called Good Enough, where he's doing just really weird swing, odd time rock and roll grooves, and he's like doing different things with each hand and all that. And that was my first introduction to Limb Independence. I still can't play the song. Uh, um, I've been influenced by so many different drummers and styles, it's hard to remember them all, to be honest. I'm a really big lyric listener, so sometimes I almost notice the singer more than the drummer.
That's exactly how it goes. Yeah. So
Because I want to make sure that whatever I'm playing is not getting in the way of the vocals and the message of the song. That's also a big part of church drumming. You do not want to be on top of the solo guy or the choir or whatever, because the people need to be able to sing along. And if you're going crazy drum solo all the time,
this guy's in the wrong church to be doing that.
definitely.
He should be in the metal church to be like.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah. Actually, I actually started listening to. Do you know the Christian metal band Deliverance?
I do.
Actually, was listening to Flesh and Blood last night. That one.
Yeah.
I was actually eyeing that one up at some point, so that would be one. And Mortification and Living Sacrifice, more specifically, like their older stuff, was also very good too. Did you know about those groups as well?
I know them. I know Mortification quite well. Oh man, Mortification, that break takes me back.
Specifically, like the first two.
My first exposure to them, we were at Moody Bible Institute in Chicago, Illinois, and I went into their bookstore and picked up a copy of Primitive Rhythm Machine. And the first time I listened to that, I'm like, what the heck is this? Oh. And I listened to that album I don't know how many times. And then I started getting into their older stuff like, what's their really heavy album?
There was the self-titled one, and then I think it scrolls to the Megaloth.
Yes, Scrolls and Megaloth. That album is scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so scary.
I think because it had like the doom metal like sort of influences, so that's probably why. I had to feel really bad for the singer, and his name escapes me at the moment, but
Steve Rowe.
Steve Rowe.
Yeah, he got leukemia really bad.
Yeah.
And I guess he went into recession from it, but he is not what he used to be. He's on so much medicine and all that. And I guess people just don't want to buy CDs anymore. So he isn't really doing anything. He's young enough still, probably in his 50s or whatever, that he could still go out and play and record and all that, but he's not. He's kind of in the hiatus. He has been for a while. Their last show with the last version of the band Mortification was back in 2018. That's a sad thing. But, if you're that sick, though, and your medicine is costing enough that you can't really afford to do the recording anymore, you need to hang up your hat.
Yeah, especially when it kind of takes away your growling sort of vocals you were able to exhibit on your first two albums. And then I think you kind of noticed it was like, what was it, Post-Momentary Affliction or something like that. And then he started going more towards the clean sort of style vocals for like the Invigilia. I don't know if that's right, but
that was a lot of that was clean.
Yeah.
Or cleaner.
For the obvious reason, but I give him credit for trying.
The drummer on that album was actually their roadie.
Was it?
The guy who drove the truck and set up the equipment and whatnot ended up they lost their last drummer, and he decided, hey, I'm going to learn the drums, and hey guys, you want to jam? And he ended up being on the drummer on Vision Evangeline.
Oh, okay.
And a couple albums after that as well.
Actually, I was thinking of Jason Sherlock. That's his name. He was the drummer for I know the self-titled. I think he might have been on the Scrolls of the Megaloth. I think he was on that one.
He was. Then he did 2 more albums with them, and then he decided to go do heavier music. He joined a band called Paramuseum, I believe.
Christian
I never
black
listened
metal.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically it was black metal, but it was the other way around. So, yeah, that's kind of what I did, and I kind of felt bad about it, even though it seemed like his life got threatened too, because you start getting into the black metal scene, and if it's not specifically the way black metal is supposed to be done, then they're probably going to threaten you with your life now. So
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to him. He kind of seemed to fall off the radar after that. So
he did. He very much fell off the radar after he left Fortification.
that's a
So
shame.
that's what made him famous. They were a pretty big band
Oh, absolutely.
for a while.
I think I want to try Satan's Doom at some point, but we'll leave that up in the air for now.
Uh,
I got a whole list to go through too, and there's a whole lot of bands. A lot on the list right now, needless to say. So, I guess let's see where we're at. Talk about bands. I guess, how bad did COVID impact you?
well, I was working at Solder Woodworking in Archbold, Ohio at the time. Ended being off work for 2 or 3 months. A lot of it was just depression from not being able to work. I'm not sure if that hit me harder than the rest of us, but you get used to going out, working, being around people, and all that kind of stuff, and it just all that went away. The other thing is that our church attendance habits changed, and that got us out of ministry for a while because we got used to not going, particularly my wife, because she was higher risk than I was. I sincerely am grateful to God that pandemic is over. It was so bad for everyone. A lot of businesses got impacted. A lot of people got sick and died. And it generally just sucked not being able to have that normal just life. Now, we got paid for most of it and all that, and our finances were okay, but it really just stunk not being able to go and be around people because everybody's just afraid. I'm one of the kind of people that was like, hey, whatever. If I get sick, I get sick. Let's continue to do the things that we're supposed to do, but the government says this, and you're supposed to obey the government. So the biggest thing for me, honestly, is in early 2020, I decided, hey, I'm sick of sitting at home. I want to go to more concerts. I want to go. So I bought tickets to a concert for Amaranth, Battle Beast, and Seven Spires, and it was supposed to be in Auburn, Indiana in August of 2020, and then COVID hit, and they canceled it, and those bands have not. I think Battle Beast has been over in North America, but the other two bands, particularly Amaranth, have not come over here again because of this and that, and now they're over in Europe. I don't know why. I mean, COVID's over, but it's like no concerts. And all the fun that I wanted to go and have was just gone. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that whole entire thing, just that whole entire industry was just dead. I think some bands even broke up over it because they couldn't tour. I know a metal band called Delane, their last version of the band broke up because they could not tour. That's just one example. But I'm really glad that that's all over, and we have somewhat of a normal now. But 2020 was a hard year.
I can imagine, yeah. There was definitely a little bit of fear, but it was good that you at least still kept your job too. I think that was the biggest thing too. But I can understand.
Yeah, that was an absolute godsend because I mean they could have just laid us off.
Oof. That's pretty frightening in and of itself. I guess, did you have any brushes with COVID, or was it kind of like one and done? Like,
I probably was exposed. I may have had some symptoms from time to time, but I never had to get tested. I never lost my sense of taste or anything like that. So I think I dodged that bullet. I'm not entirely sure because you can have it and not know. I never had to take time off of work because I had it. It was more just like, hey, let's shut down for a while, and then that was it.
I would say it was easier with my job because at least I was able to work from home if I wasn't really feeling well. So obviously, I guess you didn't have that privilege of being able to work from home.
No, it's factory worker, forklift driver, so probably not.
No, we can't robotically do it like with our little. If we had the PlayStation controller, we could just do it that way, just like.
Oh man, don't tempt me.
Oh man, then we just sit right there. We got a bag of chips right next to us too. We don't have to move anywhere. So
Oh wow.
we're going GTA style with the factory workers and everything. So all right, but it is good you made it through, and hopefully things have been better. I know it's kind of lingering too. In fact, just last year it was the first time I had ever gotten COVID, let alone test positive for it, and that was from just going to Nashville, just to, like, be with the parents and like just hang out and just we we did our own little bar hopping here and there just to like see what's going on in downtown Nashville on Broadway. That's the main drag where all the bars are. That's where everybody plays in their bands and everything. So
Uh,
it was totally worth it. But coming back, it was not good for me and my dad. We got sick, and actually recently got my booster, which I'm kind of blaming for feeling fatigued the last couple of days. But other than that, we're getting by. We're getting by. So
yeah, well, that's good.
So I hope the same for you. So all the best to you and your family going forward. So
Oh, likewise.
you know what? I did miss
I
this
know I got
question.
all them. I got all them shots and boosters and stuff like that too. And I remember when I got my first one, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go to work." And then I got the second one, and the first one was really bad. When I got the second one, I started feeling a little bit. And yeah, you know what? I'm going home. I'm not going through another round of this. I'm just gonna go home. And of course, they started like, "Oh, you might have blah." Like, no, it's just the shot. Let me go home. I'll be back tomorrow. Let me go home and go to sleep. Yeah. That's probably the worst I had. It was just reactions from the shots. That's something I'm really grateful for. Some people get it and they're just gone because their bodies are not strong enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, yeah, the first one wasn't like too bad or anything like that. You probably felt it a little bit, maybe like the arm being sore and stuff like that. But
Yep.
it was definitely more the second one. It felt weird. For me, it felt weird. I don't
Yep.
know why. I don't even know how to explain it. I could just that's all I could say. It just felt
Fatigue.
weird. It just felt weird.
Hmm.
More so in the spine, I guess, because I guess it's like your body adapting. That's where the whole nerve system and everything just
Yeah.
like functions, and is just adapting to this sudden injection of a second shot within like 2 weeks. So I don't know. Let's just hope the worst is behind us at this point. So
Indeed, we don't need another round.
Absolutely.
It could go away and leave and bye. Just go away.
yeah, absolutely. All right. You know, I did miss this question, and that's where I was actually leading to next. But what do you love most about drumming?
A lot of it has to do with the emotional connection with a song. Um, Certain songs, certain genres, certain melodies are just really nice to connect with. And playing drums allows me to connect at a different level than I do as a listener. A close second to that would be the math of it. The 4, the 16, the 9, whatever it is, the different note groupings and numbers and stuff like that. 'Cause I'm a big math nerd. I actually combine math with drumming. That's how I learned how to count everything and all that. It's just math. You take away one, you put in another and whatnot. But I'm really big on emotional connection to music, and playing drums allows me to go even deeper with that.
I would say in terms of the math, I did know like how it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's more like counting, if anything, too. But
Yeah.
I think for me, it was a lot harder like trying to do like the mathematics too, because of like I'm just listening to it and I'm like, okay, hear the drum right here, and then like, oh, you get it or I don't get it. So it's more of forcing yourself to actually get
Yeah.
it right. So I do see what you mean in terms of like mathematics, even though, as you know, with metal, we tend to experiment with a lot more. So ours is pretty syncopated and all over the place. So
Yeah.
the counting and mathematics tends to get a little bit more harder at that point. So you're like, Jimmy Christmas, how do you guys even keep count when you're doing this stuff live? So
They're aliens. Honestly. They're not from this world. I don't know how to do it either, especially with like the blast beats and stuff like. Wait, you're doing all that, and your feet are doing something else, and then all of a sudden, like, wait, what? How do you count that? 'Cause it's so fast.
absolutely. Well, we could say godsend too, but a lot of it's pretty secular music too.
Yeah.
So they're very good to say the least. and I have immense respect for them nonetheless too. So, but I guess I guess we did jump through all those questions, but let's get into some fun ones right here. So,
Sure.
what is your favorite alcoholic drink?
Amaretto sour, hands down. I'm not entirely sure what's all in it, but I could drink them all day. They don't hit hard. They taste great. It's always been my favorite one.
Is that a local sort of brew, or is it like a kind of a new
It's a
and
mixed
up-and-coming?
drink.
Oh.
It's a mixed drink.
Oh,
I
mixed
think there's like orange juice and amaretto and a couple other things in there. Next time I get one at the local bar in Antwerp, I'll have to get the ingredients list because I can't remember what's in there.
Sounds good, actually. I don't know if I ever had
It is very, very, very good.
You know, the way you made it sound, though, it sounded like it would be like a sort of heavy drink, kind of like how like a screwdriver would be with like orange juice and vodka. So,
Not quite that heavy. What's yours?
my it's probably when I go out with the parents because if they're getting like light beer, for instance, I tend to like go for like an Angry Orchard or like a Miller Lite. But if they're going heavy, like their heavy tends to be like a gin and tonic or I don't know, vodka or tonic water. I go with the Long Island iced tea. So I tend
Okay.
to get everything but the kitchen sink with my drink.
Uh,
I have drank two of those, and that actually makes me pretty happy drunk afterwards. So, needless to say,
wow.
you know, it's very sweet. I love very sweet sort of alcoholic drinks because it makes it that much enjoyable when it's swallowed.
Oh, of course.
So, I guess what's the heaviest sort of drink you've ever had?
Whiskey. I actually had some last night. It was a 90 proof. You do not drink that stuff fast because it will burn just a little bit in the bottom of the cup, and you got to sip it. Oh man, very strong.
Now you got wonder
I
how
usually
the
don't
Cowboys
go
do.
that hard. We in my daughter's baby shower, we actually won in one of the games that we played. We won the bottle. I'm like, hey, let's grab that. It's probably really good alcohol. It'll probably last us a long time because I'm not gonna just drink that stuff. Like, oh.
I was gonna say, was it like a Jack Daniels or was it a different sort of whiskey?
I think it was a Tennessee whiskey, but I don't know the brand. I have to take a picture of the bottle and I'll put it on Facebook. I may actually already have one.
And this is what I drank on the rocks.
Yeah.
I have done Jack Daniels on the rocks, and that was actually a New Year's celebration when we were in downtown Pittsburgh for the first night. That might have actually been when I also had like 2 Long Islands. So, needless to say, I had a good one too many that night, to say the least.
Yeah.
So,
My family is also pretty heavy into different kinds of moonshine,
oh boy,
like the apple cider stuff, and I think there's a chocolate one as well that we have, and a green apple and whatnot. Our daughter and son-in-law got us into that, so we got a few kinds of those as well. They're always very good.
I never understood moonshine, to be honest. Like normally when
I
I hear it
don't
back in
either,
the
but it tastes good, so as long as they're not making it with gasoline or whatever, that bagwood stuff, it's probably okay.
one would hope. I guess it's because I always heard like so many negative things about it too. It's almost like, oh, you're gonna go blind because you drank it, or that sort of thing. So I don't know, but I trust at least the restaurant brand quality. But I imagine it's like probably one of those like I'm trying to think of the word, maybe like you swallow it and it's like maybe bad aftertaste or something like that. I'm not too sure. So
The stuff we have is quite tasty, believe me.
all right, but if I die, you stay away from my funeral. So
Oh, okay.
okay.
You can actually go to Walmart and get the stuff. It's usually at the bottom shelf of the alcohol aisle. It'll be in a little glass jar, like a canning jar. And they're all the different flavors are pretty good.
I was going to say, I don't know if they serve it in my Walmart, but maybe next time I went up there, I'm trying to look for it or something.
They probably do. It's hard to see because it's not right in front of your face. It's literally on the very bottom shelf.
I keep thinking it's like going to be like right there in those shelves right when you walk in, close to where the checkout aisles are. So that's what I'm thinking it's going to be. Because that's also where they have like the self-checkout lines too. They'll have like all your chewing tobaccos and cigarettes and that stuff. So I'm thinking, would it be there? No, it would actually be somewhere in the alcohol Actually,
Yeah.
I'm honestly trying to remember where they do put the alcohol in the Walmart I work at, because it's not a super Walmart. So I mean, it's
Oh, okay, they may not have as much of a presence with that then.
probably not, but I have to check it out one of these days. What'd you say the brand was?
I don't remember the brand actually. We just like flavored moonshine.
Just strictly
I'm
moonshine.
not really big on brands. I'm more about the ingredients.
I would say something more with the taste too. I guess if you're also buying
Yeah,
it.
of course.
So, and I guess favorite non-alcoholic drink.
Um, we're really into Zoa energy drinks.
So
Oh, any of those. Do you know who Dwayne Johnson is?
The Rock.
The
Yeah.
Rock. Yeah, he started that. He started that company, Energy Drinks, with a few doctors and all that. And it's a really good blend of like amino acids and stuff like that. The two flavors we get are cherry limeade and something else, and I can drink them all day. They'll keep me awake, of course, but that's probably my favorite one.
I never heard of it.
It's a good energy burst, and it's got a lot of good, healthy workout type of stuff in it.
Well, the guy is.
He started that company maybe about a couple years ago, so it's not as famous as say Red Bull or whatever. Hasn't been out as long.
Well, it's funny. It would be like a workout sort of drink too, because I mean, you see how jacked
Yeah.
he is just from like his
Oh
Instagram
yes, of
posts.
course. I'm like, your arm is bigger than my body.
I would hire you to be my bouncer if I had a nightclub or something like that. So
Yeah.
all right, that's pretty sweet. I never heard of it actually. So do they sell it like at local WalMarts, or is this like something you have to like order off the website?
Walmart, no. They have it at Costco. You can get it on Amazon. There may be a few other places that I don't know of. I know at the local supermarket named Chief that we used to shop at, they had them there. It had like one little stand. The best place to get it is directly from the Zoa website. ZOA. It's directly from there. You can actually just buy it directly and have it shipped to your door.
I actually wonder if he borrowed the name from the Christian metal group of that same name. So
He might have.
I mean, hey, it's catchy too.
Yeah,
I guess do you listen to that group as well?
I do not.
No.
The big Christian metal group that I got into growing up was White Cross.
White Cross and everyone else.
That was the first one. I used to listen to a lot of them. Not so much anymore. They actually have a new singer now. Scott Wenzel got in a fight with Rex Carroll again, and he got ousted, so now they have another singer. So it's now called White Cross 2.0. Imagine that. I'm not really sure why, but White Cross was the big one back then. I was also really into, they're not really metal, I was really into Petra. Really, really into Petra. In the mid 80s to late 90s. And then, of course, when I was in high school, I got this tape called the Extremely Loud Electric Guitar Tape, and the third track was a Deliverance song off the Learn album, and every time I hear 1990, wow. So that was another big one. I could talk about bands all day.
Oh yeah, I've talked for a
Actually.
good hour already, but I would say Living Sacrifice's self-titled debut album. It was actually people would call it like the Christian version of the Slayer sort of thrash metal style.
That kind of makes sense. I haven't listened to them in a long time, but that does make sense. They're very much like Slayer, at least in their earlier albums.
It was because you would think it would be like a Rain and Blood, but it's the other way around now this time. So,
Yeah.
but it still kicked ass. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't tell me they didn't. So, which judging by, I guess you obviously know the album. So I thought we'd just throw that out there. So, for people who watch this video eventually, go check that album out right now. You will not be
Oh
disappointed.
yeah, of course.
So, let's see. In terms of your drum covers, I guess, is there one that you say has been your favorite so far?
Oh wow, there's so many of them. It's hard to pick. There are a couple that come to mind.
I guess while we wait for that one, I guess this next one also kind of ties in with it too. But I guess, was there ever a song that was too tough for you to play, and did you give up or
Yes.
come back later?
Do you know the Final Countdown by Europe?
Yeah. It's the final
So
countdown.
that guy has 2 bass drums. I have 1. So when I started trying to learn that song, I forgot about the drum solo. The drum solo. You don't play that song without playing that drum solo. So they're like, people on YouTube or on Facebook are like, you cannot play that song without that drum solo. I'm like, oh crap. So I go in and I'm trying to play it with a single pedal. And I'm good at double strokes and all that kind of stuff, but it's fast. You got to be able to do really, really fast. So I invented my own version of the fill, but I couldn't keep up with the actual pace of the song. So I told a couple guys I was talking to about it that I'm not going to do a drum cover of this song until I can play it with 1 foot. And then life took over and I started getting into easier songs because I got lazy and I haven't done it. I literally walked away from it. It's always been on the back burner and I could probably get that good to play it with 1 foot. But that's my big thing is I do not want to play the song with a double bass pedal. I want to play it with 1 foot. If I can't do it with 1 foot, I'm not doing it at all. So no Final Countdown for me, unfortunately. Okay, so favorite drum cover. If you go to my YouTube channel, the intro video is a drum cover of Gentle Madman from Persona 5 Royal. This song doesn't really have drums in it. It's actually my son's favorite dungeon theme from the game. So that was his request. If I had to pick one right now without going through my list, that would be my favorite drum cover. Because it worked out, the audio mix and everything worked out really, really well. I was able to add in my own drum part in, my own entire creation. I'm not mimicking anyone at all because there was no real drummer on that song. It was actually just like a programmed keyboard beat or something. So that one is probably my favorite. The other one that comes to mind was Elton John, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. I totally trashed the heck out of that song. I found the drumless version of it, and I played my drum part. I didn't play the original one because that's boring to me. I always have to have my own version of everything. Otherwise, I'm not going to play it. So I introduced rock grooves and metal grooves and double kick strokes and stuff like that song, and that was fun. I had to do like 10 takes of it, and my right shoulder was dying after the end of everything and auto recording, but I had a lot of fun with that. Just totally taking that song and turning it up to like a 15 out of 10. There's so many others that come to mind that are close to that, but those are the 2 that kind of stand out. An honorable mention goes to... I want to make sure I get the name of the song right. Scroll. Sorry, I'm scrolling here. Snow Patrol, Chasing Cars. That one I did out of my garage. I had 2 old vintage rugs. I set up the E-drums. I had a foot switch for lights that I would have off until the drums come in. And then I actually hit the switch to turn the lights on when the drums come in. And that was a lot of fun. But I honestly got to go with Gentle Madman because my son requested it because I was able to make my own drum part that did not exist before. It was just a lot of fun to do. I highly recommend Gentle Madman. If someone wants to listen to what I do on the channel, that's why it's up as my introduction video to the channel. It was so well done. It worked out so well, and it sounds so good. It also has, if I look at the little still, I'm only using 1 drum other than the kick drum. I actually pulled the toms away and just used the snare, kick, snare, and cymbals. That was something that another drummer is doing for a while that I was influenced by. It's like, take away the toms. Just play the snare. And try to do as much as you can with 1 drum. less is more kind of mentality, and it actually worked out really well.
I'm gonna say you really put a lot of effort into it too, so I can see why you would list it as your favorite.
Over the last year, most of my drumming has been playing along to video game songs. I'm kind of backing away from playing the games and just really being into the music and celebrating the music that I enjoy from those games by just playing along to it. It's been a really cool experience, and I'm almost hooked on the acid jazz style because of that, because a lot of the music from the games that I enjoy ends up being that style. I could talk about that for hours.
Yeah, do tell.
Anyhow.
No, you're good. Yeah, you know what? The soundtracks, even specifically in movies too, it's like that's pretty much what makes the movie and the video games actually great too. It's like you get that music that probably captivates you. So I can see why in terms of like the persona. So that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I guess this one, you probably already answered it, but I guess what is currently your favorite song? Or at least one that you've been listening to a whole lot?
My favorite song actually is called Eyes on Me. It is the love theme from Final Fantasy VIII. The singer is Faye Wong, Faye, and then Wong. She is a Japanese pop singer. I'm not sure if she's still around, but that song always hooks me. I've never done a drum cover. I've only really listened to it when I played the game, but it is hands down my favorite song of all time.
I was trying to remember if a friend of mine actually was playing, because I know you mentioned about Final Fantasy VIII. I was trying to remember if that was the one where, what they call it, Sin or something like that. It's like
that's Final Fantasy X.
That's 10. Okay, so never mind.
Yeah.
I think that was another time I actually did see Final Fantasy played. So it was
Final Fantasy VIII is the one with Squall as the main character, and he's a member of a military organization called SEED.
Is this Dirge of Cerberus too, or is that a different game?
Dirge of Cerberus is a spin-off of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
Starring Vincent Valentine, the vampire kind of dude with the guns and the weird hair or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Eyes on Me is my favorite song to listen to. I don't know if I'll ever play drums to it because I don't want to wreck the song. But that's my favorite song.
I would say just go with it. I mean, it's your favorite song. I mean, just
my drums don't sound good enough. I would ruin it. Yeah. Maybe. I'll think about it.
It'd be blasphemy in the eyes of the beholder, that sort of thing. So
yeah.
All right. But we are actually down to the last question. But before we jump into that, did you have any questions for me or any last words you want to say before we jump into it?
No, not really. Not I can think of.
I'm curious what your answers would be on this one, because you actually did give me some pretty long-winded answers too. So this one, it kind of delves deep, but I always like to hear what people's opinions are on this one. So given what COVID has done, I think these days people need some sort of hope in order to move past COVID, because I think it's still going to linger in some cases. But the question goes like this. What sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there?
Honestly, the biggest thing comes to mind is don't be afraid to continue playing and go out, be with other people, and find other people to enjoy music with. I mean, honestly, just with the things that COVID has done, it's even more important to not only get good at what you're doing as a musician individually, but to use that as a way to communicate with other people. Some of the biggest friendships I've had in my life have been those who I've played music with. And the last thing that you want to do is say, well, I can't do that. There's a huge, huge, huge thing in getting out there with other musicians. And I think, honestly, that is the biggest thing that we could do. I'm not sure how much hope that provides, but I do know it's entirely worth it to use what we learn as drummers, as clarinet players, as tuba players, whatever it is, to communicate positivity to other people and I've always encouraged people to do that because that's the big thing with me being a musician. I want to inspire other people so they can go inspire other people because it's all exponential. Um, Music is one of the greatest gifts that we have, and it's so important to recognize that we have this huge capacity to communicate that to other people because it's a universal language. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I could talk about this for days. Really, without music, there really isn't much hope in this world that we can create. It's probably one of the biggest gifts from God, I believe. And if you keep playing, it's going to help your self-esteem. If you keep playing, it's going to help you communicate better with other people. It's going to get you new friends that you're probably not going to have otherwise. And that's the biggest thing that we all have in common is everybody loves music. Whether it's just playing or listening or whatever, everybody loves it. So if you keep at what you're doing, playing, you're going to run into people that you would not have run into, and you're going to experience different things that you would not experienced if you decided to, well, COVID happened and I'm going to stop. There's no reason to stop. There's plenty of people, even while COVID was going on, that were still out there playing. It just wasn't 20,000 people at the concert. Does that answer your question? I could keep going, but this is something I've always been pretty passionate about. It's like, we have the opportunity as musicians to be the people that spread hope. We already have that ourselves, so let's communicate that to other people that wouldn't already have that hope. Because music is such a huge positive way to communicate.
No, yeah, that answers it. And normally I like to say, spoken like a true prodigy. So, no, that was very good. That was very good too. Especially, it's normally like some sort of music, whether it's like normally like the metal sort of music like we sort of listen to, or whether it's even just simply like hitting like a bucket, for instance. I mean, I saw people like hitting buckets in Nashville that were just doing their own version of like a drum line. I mean, it just clicks for some reason. There's just something that clicks. Yeah. So I see what you mean too. So thank you so much there, Frank.
Oh, you're welcome.
No worries. And Frank, we reached the end of my podcast right here. Boy, we almost talked for a good hour and a half right here, but I guess
yeah.
Did you have any final words or any shout outs you want to give before we close?
Honestly, just a shout out to the whole drumming community. I honestly have been just really blessed at the people I've met and the friendships I've met and the people I've followed in the last 2 or 3 years. People like Drumman 190, Eric F. Drums, so many others that I can't think of right now. So many different people that I got to know through the whole YouTube stuff that I would have not known otherwise. And it's been huge for me to be able to interact with those sorts of people that I would have probably not known otherwise. Oh, I appreciate every single one of you. You already know who you are. I can't list everyone's name because they're not jumping off the top of the head, but thank you.
Yeah, there's a little one too many just to kind of list off. Otherwise, we would be here days on end trying to list them all off too. So
yeah, let me pull up my subscriber list and see who has. Oh, no.
Yeah,
that's another hour and a half.
Oh yeah, and then we can go on talking about other things about music, anything else we're passionate about. But nope, yeah. I'm drawing the line right here. No, we're good. All right.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But I guess how else can people reach you? Because what's your YouTube channel name, and I guess what else are you on?
The YouTube channel name is Frank's Drum Cave. And personally, as Frank Dutcher, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. I have a Facebook page for Frank's Drum Cave, but it's kind of, I don't do anything with it. You can always go and check out the videos on YouTube, Frank's Drum Cave, leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Personally, as Frank Dutcher, anybody can message me at any time. I'm pretty open about that. So that's probably the best ways. I try to stick to mostly YouTube with my communication, though, so the comments and all that are a great way to start. Honestly, though, lately I haven't really been on the stick with this because I just got off working 2 jobs, 66 hours a week. So I'm kind of getting back into communicating with people that know me and all that. So I apologize for that. I had a lot of family stuff I had to take care of, and money had to come in. So I had to step away. And I'm just now, this whole podcast is me kind of getting back into the whole scene, I guess.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
And,
Hopefully it's the start of a brand new chapter for you there, Frank. So,
hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully. Now that I actually have this thing called time,
yeah.
that's the first step. So
Hey, maybe at some point, maybe you and me can get together on maybe some sort of video game. Just do a little collab.
yeah,
or
sure,
something like that. I'll have to figure it out because some games get a little weird at times. It's not like how you could just start off like you two are just right there and you just go and complete all the missions in the game. No, it's a bit more complex these days. I know that's how it was with like all the Dark Souls and the Bloodborne games. It was like you're just here for a specific moment of time to help you defeat the boss, and that's it. So unfortunate, but it's how it is. So we'll have to figure something out at some point. So
yeah.
all right. So everyone, my guest today was Frank Dutcher, hailing from Ohio. Make sure you go on over, subscribe to his channel, check him out on any of the socials. Go hit him up. Go chat with this guy. It's good to have you back here, Frank. So
Thank you.
stay safe, Frank. Stay tuned, y'all.
Well, we'll see you later.